Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I am the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin today's session, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. I would now like to welcome Rajendra, our speaker for today's session. Rajendra is currently working as a BI lead specialist within the engineering and tech lead team at Bosch. But for now, I will hand over to Rajendra to begin the session. Let me bring him into the stream. Hi, morning, Rajendra.
Hi Rashmita, good morning.
Morning. Your slides is up, and yeah, all yours.
First of all, thank you Rashmita, thank you Path for giving this opportunity to to present my presentation on this Microsoft Reactor program. And hi guys, I have come up with another topic for this week. So seamless data loading into the Microsoft Fabric using data warehouse. So what type of warehouses it will be get supported and how this Microsoft Fabric will get supported on the data warehouse system. I'm going to showcase you in detail. I have prepared the content for you. And before moving on to the topic and discussion, I'll just try to give myself as an intro. So I'm Rajendra Ongole. I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP and a super user at the Microsoft Fabric community, 4 times MCT certified trainer. And I'm working as an BI lead at Bosch Group, Hyderabad location. And also I will organize events at the deleted community. And I'm a trainer on Power BI topics as well as MS Fabric, and a mentor internally where I need my support is needed from them. And if you want to find out, my social networking handles on the right hand side. You can find me via maybe if you have any queries on the Microsoft Fabric or Power BI related, you can send me an email, and you can connect me on the social network platform like LinkedIn and Twitter and Data Analytics group where I can post trending like new features, preview features, whatever that is coming on the Microsoft site. I will just try to add my views on it and how it is going to work for the future part on my data analytics group blogspot. So that is about myself. I'll just try to showcase to you content part, introduction about Microsoft Fabric. I will give you glimpses of it. So what are the personas that are supporting in Microsoft Fabric? After that, we will move on to the topic on the data warehouse system, how the data will be get injected and load the operation. So what kind of an operations inside the tool we are going to perform? What are the ways to get extract the data? I'm going to showcase the thorough process. And also we will discuss, because it's a data warehouse concept, we'll discuss some important key concepts like maintaining the schema part, like a star schema, snowflake schema. I will give you glimpses on it. And then again, I will move back to the data pipeline creation and the configuration, how we are going to use this transaction SQL database once the data has been structured. That part we are going to discuss thoroughly, and data integration and as well as analysis part, I will showcase to you in the practical manner in the demo session. First of all, say here Microsoft Fabric data integration ecosystem. So it's completely a new platform where most of the organizations are turning or else integrating on their applications, which is working on the on-premises source to an cloud-based application. Completely, it's a cloud. Where, if you're observing on the snapshot below, the architecture related, it will be get supported the data factories. Maybe if there is a team who are working on the data pipelines building for injecting the data, we can make use of data factory within the cloud environment. And data engineering stuff, maybe you want to write some programmings like Python, PySpark, or languages, it will be get supported and make use of this data engineering stuff for data ingestion. And also within Microsoft Fabric, it will be get supported with a data warehouse person as well. So we can build on premises, instead of using and building the on premises warehouse, we can do this activity in the cloud application data warehouse itself. And advanced features like data science, we can we can try to build it like advanced a build model or else machine learning model. And real-time intelligence and for Power BI related activities, it will be get prepare and we can share the business insights to the customer. And these are all the personas tools also we can see. It will become up on the top of Copilot in a fabric. So it will be recently a Copilot in a fabric for each and every tool has been added. So you can get some suggestions as per the code on AI feature based. It will begin run backend part, and we can see the code, or else maybe if you want to suggest some kind of a visualization, it will try to provide it, and we can see in all the personas the Copilot how it will work. It's still a preview feature for some other personas, and the data it will be get load and store in a one lake. So we can reuse the data set instead of maintaining is the duplicate of information, maintaining the redundancy of my data. We can store all the information and it will be get resides in an one lake. And what about the last Microsoft Purview stands for? So example, Microsoft Purview is something like where we can do the data governance activities, like we can reuse the existing assets for future needs, and also we can reuse the existing resources for another new projects or new build activities. So I'm just providing a detailed insight here for the data factory. It helps us to cleanse and prepare the data from various source systems we can get connected, just like how we will try to get data from in the Power BI application. Like that we can try to pull the information from different various source system, and we can perform the data transformation, make the data in an right shape. Likewise, data engineering part, as I said, we are working on the data level. So it should be in PySpark or else or languages. It will be work on it as per the data extractions, and we can try to do the data cleansing activities. We can make use of this data engineering stuff, writing the code. PySpark code or else R language, SQL Spark. These are the languages it will be get supported. And coming to this, I have just come up with an one summary of each and every personas which are supported in my Microsoft in our Microsoft Fabric. Data warehouse, it's a cloud-based where if you want to handle, most of the organizations will try to make use of the data part, and this data should be in structured information and ready to use for the further insight, business insights. In such scenario, we are going to maintain data warehouses. Like we will follow the current data or historical data part to share the analysis. We were going to make use of data warehouse stuff. Likewise, one more tool, that is a data science tool. So where if you want to build some advanced data models by using machine learning programs, it will be get supported as well. And as I mentioned, real-time intelligence, so it will be like a kind of a setting an alert. Maybe if there is a stopping of my real data, I can get a notification, or else I can get a streaming messages, whoever working on this live data part. So we can find it out, we can work on it live streaming data by using this real-time intelligence. And finally, as I mentioned, Power BI is also part of Microsoft Fabric ecosystem. We can create an interactive dashboards once the data has been cleansed and ready to make use of to derive some meaningful or else business decisions. Fun. As you mentioned, right, where is the Copilot comes out? So here, on each and every personas, like Copilot, it is a completely data activity, like AI tool, where it will be give suggestions as per the work or else as per the code that we are trying to build, and it will try to define the new code, or else it will try to help us just like a chat gpt, how we will take some suggestions from this. So like that, on each and every personas we will get a support, either it is a data science or data engineering stuff. If you're building a pipeline or a data modeling level, we will get a smart code related to it. So we have to do some adjustments accordingly and make use of that particular code in our day-to-day activities part. And coming to the data factory, so whenever if you are trying to do some automation, just we can pass some simple English language questions. Output will be get generated in our responses. Like if it is a data factory, it will be get generated in the form of required pipelines try to build it. Likewise, data warehouse too. So most of your transactional SQL queries we can get a supported from data warehouse. Like maybe if you want to write an optimized query, and if you want to build some views on the top of it to generate a quick insights, we can make use of this Copilot also in your data warehouse. I will showcase to you when I'm showcasing my presentation, I mean technical presentation, working on it, where it is and how we are going to get it enabled. Likewise, Power BI is already there, Copilot and Power BI in both. If you are working on Power BI desktop, you can see the Copilot in Power BI desktop and even in the Power BI services too. There should be some licenses. If you purchase the Fabric license with F64, we can get it incorporate this Copilot also in all these personas. And this Copilot having some, only few regions it has been adaptable, and few regions still it's pending. Maybe in future we will get it released. And Copilot for real-time intelligence, like it will be get supported and language, Custo SQL query language for analyzing the live data, streaming data, and try to provide the insights accordingly, like notification alert or else segregation triggering of your existing mails or else workflow mechanism. So one lake is a place, as I said, is a place to store all of your data, and we can start simplifying or else storing this data and managing as per our requirements, whether maybe if you want to make use of that particular data for data factory building, or maybe I want to make use of this particular data instead of duplicating or reloading, we can directly make use of in our Power BI applications or data warehouse storage too. And as I mentioned, Purview is for the data protection across the data, and we can reuse the existing assets for future needs, or else maybe if you want to reuse that assets, resources, we can make use of it for the development activities too, which is an inbuilt in our architecture part. Then,
Rajendra,
yes,
Rajendra, sorry, we have one question from Venkata. I'm
yes,
just getting that up on the screen. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Might be Custo query language.
yes.
Why the word Custo? Any significance?
That's a name they have been right, like SQL, structured query language, like the transactional SQL language. Custo is a something which is easier, simple writing part. We can make the commands an easy part. It's not accurately that SQL language. We will try to define this Custo SQL language, which is an easy and commandable. Like just we can pass the commands on the Custo SQL language, the prompt and command definition. Hope I have answered to you.
Yep, can
Fine.
carry on.
Yeah. So see here, Fabric data warehouse experience. If you're observing, most of the time, whenever if you're trying to design a data warehouse, we will follow some kind of slowly changing dimensions, whether it is a SCD type 1, SCD type 2, SCD type 3, 2, some as per the business need. So regularly, as per the organization's concern, they want to maintain the historical data at one side and current data too. They want to transaction data to maintain. So in such a scenario, SCG type 2 is a better option, suggestible one, whenever if you're trying to build a warehouse. So for this, we need to have some data extraction. So we need to get the data in different ways, as I showcased you in the previous Microsoft Fabric, the tools that are supporting. We can extract the data via data pipelines and we can inject it. We can do internally some transformations. We can load this particular data into the warehouse. That is one way. And another approach is it will be get supported with Dataflow Gen 2, which is an online Power Query editor experience. So we can extract the data via data flow Gen 2, and we can do further data cleansing activities and load those tables into your data warehouse. So whenever if you're trying to design a data warehouse, most of the data which has been extracted and cleansed, it should be ready to get it analyzed and take it forward for the further reporting part, or maybe if you want to do some advanced analytics by using machine learning programs, we can try to make use of it. And also we can try to build some ad hoc reports as well, some quick report buildings too. So whenever if you are trying to design a data warehouse, if you're observing, staging schema is should be mandatory, like a temporary storage area we can get it created, and we can load the table into your dedicated data warehouses. So this complete activity we can perform on the cloud-based environment which has been supported by Microsoft Fabric. So those tables, if the data is available in data warehouse, we are ready to move on to the further level, like storing further level of visualizations, or maybe if you want to take those data further advanced analytics via machine learning programs too. See here, there is a lot of discussion on this Fabric warehouse. What is this warehouse? And Microsoft Fabric Lakehouses. So I just provided in the first part, first column with the feature and the storage, how the data will be get stored, and Fabric warehouse, how the data will be get stored in the warehouse, and Fabric lakehouses. So on the first part, that is storage part, it should be accepts only the structured information, the processed data, and ready to build for the further advanced analytics or Power BI reporting part. So we can work on transaction SQL language, and you can optimize this data to the required columns and required fields. We can filter it also, and also we can create the tables if you're working on the Fabric warehouse. And coming to this lake house, if you're observing, it's completely unstructured. Maybe if you're working on an IoT sensors data, real-time data, and it will be get stored in the real time like a Parquet file format, JSON file format examples, and we can try to cleanse the data internal by using different personas, like maybe we can use data pipeline, or maybe if we can go with the data flow gen 2 as well. And the data, how it will be get stored in both of the application, both of the personas, fabric warehouse or fabric lakehouse. Data format should be it's completely stable structure, tabular model. We can easily write the statements, SQL statements. We can pull the information as per the data load. And coming to the Fabric Lakehouse, the data will be in file format, unmanaged source system. Like as I said, Parquet file format is that going to be a JSON file format or CSV. These tables or these files will be get stored in a data lake. And coming to the performance, optimized and fully fast because it's a completely structure. And on the top of it also, we can do the data aggregation by using SQL language, structured query language. So I can showcase you the particular prompt where we are going to write the statements, where to create a few of the statement, because we are going to build the data warehouse with some of the transaction SQL queries. I'm going to create some tables, and also I'm going to pull the information from data pipeline as well as data flow gen 2 too. And if it is a fabric lakehouse, as I said, if it is optimized, and maybe if you are making use of the big data usage part, we can make use of these lakehouses. Workload type, if you're observing, it is ready for the reporting. So once the data is available, we can pull the information. We can further build the semantic model or data modeling part if you are working on the Power BI, and you can prepare a report buildings too, because it's completely processed and structured data. And coming to this lake house, so as I said, right, AI or ML models, if you want to build on the top of by taking the data from lake house and even the real-time analytics, we can proceed further. And as I mentioned, the final goal should be the reporting integration with the Power BI. So it's as simple as easy once your data has been properly structured, because we can write the statements as well as SQL statements too. We can work on both of the application mode, that is a direct or else import mode. But in Power BI services, Power BI application will get support direct lake only. I will showcase to you what is the direct lake, how it looks like. And here, if you're working on the Fabric Lake houses, direct lake import and real-time analytics will be get supported, and we can integrate with our Power BI application, the front-end reporting part. And use cases, currently I have come up with one sales data stuff. I'm going to showcase how I'm going to load few of the tables, sales report building. The fact table, I'm going to extract it via data pipeline, and I'm going to pull some date table is also mandatory for whenever if you're working on warehouse building to maintain the history and current data stuff. And also I will try to write the some SQL statement, and we can create a proper star schema approach kind of warehouse building, like star schema in the sense centrally you can see the fact table, and remaining all dimension tables are surrounded. We can see the complete structure of it directly connecting from fact to the dimension table to pass the data from one to another. So this is one of the approaches. So most of the projects, real-time projects, we will use a star schema design. If not, if it is not possible, we can try to make use of another schema design, that is a snowflake schema. If you're observing here, the centrally located fact table are directly communicate and connecting to your dimension tables. That is a dimension product, date table, employee stores, and customer table. So star schema is as per the data performance part and optimization build. Most of the projects will try to build it because it's directly connecting to your one to many kind of a relationship, and we can see the connectivity as well as the performance wise very faster whenever if you're trying to build the report. Suppose if I have some hierarchy build, like customer is having some split of customer info, or else product table is having some product category is a subtable, subquery. In such a scenario, it will definitely impacts because the dimension is having a hierarchy, a split of another subtable. It will definitely get impacts to my performance of my report building. So as I said, the tables, how we are trying to align and what kind of a schema or model we are trying to follow is very important. So centrally located, if you're observing the fact sales table, it's all connected to other dimension tables in the form of many side to the one side. One side is on the dimension product, dimension date, dimension employee, and so on. Fact table is going to maintain the foreign keys like a duplicate. Data redundancy is there on the fact table. So what kind of information is going to maintain by this fact table? As I said, it's going to maintain fact table with all foreign keys and also very important metrics like example sales amount, quantity details, or maybe if it is maintaining some very key metrics, key performance indicators like sales data. So these things will be get maintained in your centrally fact table, sales related stuff. So another example, as I said, right, Snowflake schema, you can see here, it's having some hierarchy, like it's connected dimension customer to the dimension category and dimension geography table to this dimension store. So it's having some interconnect between dimension table to the another dimension table. So which is always impacts the performance of the report. So if it is not possible to build it as a star schema model, we can choose this schema too, as per the data level, as per the data increments and so on. Fine. The ETL pipeline extract, transform, and load. So here, as I said, I'm going to showcase to you. I will extract the fact table, sales fact table, giving the name as sales project we are going to build. Sales fact table, I'm going to extract it via data pipeline. And this table is going to available in one of the on-premises SQL server. I will extract it. On the top of it, I will perform some data transformations and we can load the table into your dedicated warehouses, because we are going to prepare a warehouse and we will store the table into the extracted or else created warehouse. And another way of extraction. So as I said, we can extract the data via Dataflow Gen 2. So as I mentioned, the raw data which is moving from the backend database to your application, we can extract the raw data using different ways. As I mentioned, right, we can see the get data option, how with a multiple source system we can extract it. And where this data will be get stored, as I said, as per the architecture, it will be get stored in a repository, centralized repository in our created repository or workspaces. And from there you can create the staging layer for temporary storage of the data, and then we can load it, that particular table, in the fast load mechanism to your warehouses too. So all the processing part I will showcase in the practical when, as I said, right, the sales fact table, how we are going to import that particular sales table to the warehouse. In between, we will create the staging layer also for our temporary storage, and maybe we can maintain one day per uh, data. On the next day, it will be get rid of it if there is any new changes on the data, like SCD tab 2 follows. We will follow the SCD tab 2 to maintain the history as well as current data. See here, types of data load. As I said, we can perform a complete full load and it will be get stored in our warehouses. Another approach is we can use the incremental refresh also. So if we were not familiar with incremental data load, maybe if my data size is very huge information, example last 10 years data, I can load it initially. And on the top of it, for my report building, we can implement incremental load as well. Like maybe the last 5 years data, I want to get it refreshed instead of last 10 years. I can perform incremental load as well by using the Dataflow Gen 2. So I can showcase to you where we are going to do this activity while working on data extraction via Dataflow Gen 2. So last 5 years data I can load it and I can perform data availability should be available on warehouse builder. And also we can choose it as per the data dependencies. We can go with the full load or incremental load based on the data amount we are working on. See here, as I said, whenever if you're trying to work on the data modeling part, there should be, if you're extracting multiple tables, we need to maintain the unique info, like unique data. If it is extracting with the product table, product ID should be unique data should be maintained. And this particular product table, I want to visualize it based on some sales value, and the sales table is going to have the product key field. That particular column should be a foreign key. So maybe that particular one product have multiple records or else multiple sales value. So I want to segregate it whenever if you are trying to define the data connectivity between product table, and the product table is dimension here, sales table is your fact table where it is having a one side to the many side relationship. And also, we need to identify what are the key metrics, key performance indicator, what are the number field. Based on that, we will easily do the data visualizations. We can pull that information and we can see the data analysis as an accurate manner as per the business needs. So as a part of our project build, as I said, sales table is one. And also I'm going to extract the time or else a date dimension table, and remaining all tables, I'm going to create it via transaction SQL database. Let me showcase to you that. 1 second. So see here, you can connect to the Microsoft Fabric either from app.powerbi.com, and you can see the Power BI in the top down corner, or directly you can connect it via app.fabric.microsoft.com. So where whatever you feel directly, if you want to get connected to the Fabric, you can use this one. Or maybe if you are working on Power BI, you want to navigate from Power BI application to Microsoft Fabric, you can navigate to the Microsoft Fabric also. You can see in the down corner, left hand side down bottom corner, Fabric new develop new data pipelines or else end-to-end solutions. So you either whatever the application you're choosing, just try to choose either is a Fabric or Power BI tool. Fine. So and one more thing, whenever if you are trying to work or else trying to take some decisions whether this product is going to beneficial to your business need, just try to make sure that you can use the trial account, Fabric trial currently I'm using. We can also enable it from your credentials, like a trial account which is valid for 60 days. And currently I'm in the Power BI mode, Power BI application mode. I can try to change it to my Fabric also here. So in this way, click on this Fabric. There's the front end screen. Whenever if you start working on the Microsoft Fabric, a dedicated workspace is mandatory. Dedicated workspace in the sense a repository is mandatory to store our all our activities like extractions, or else maybe if it is a new file, if you are trying to import it, or else maybe if you are preparing a report development or on the top of business analysis, a workspace is mandatory. Let me create a new workspace. You can use here new workspace, giving the name as Fabric Warehouse. See here, currently it's a pro license, or you can also configure with the trial account also, that is also fine. Trial, see here, trial account I have configured, apply. And one more option is that whenever if you are working on, you have to get it configured whether it is a shorter data format or larger data sets. If you are using larger means you can configure the larger format of data too when you are creating the workspaces. So once the workspace has been get created, you can see the top Fabric Warehouse, and this is the Fabric content. You can see the diamond symbol for this. Fine. So how we are going to get create this Microsoft warehouse here, Fabric Warehouse. So this is a complete empty. I haven't created anything here. You can see bottom new item, right? You can see all the personas which are supported by your Microsoft Fabric application. So maybe you want to prepare a direct dashboard by taking some reference of data. You can prepare it for the reporting part, or maybe you want to inject the data via data pipeline. It's almost data pipeline is almost as similar as Azure Data Factory. We can extract it, we can inject the data, and also we can schedule those workflows as per the data availability. And also Dataflow Gen 2, which is an online Power Query editor. We can prepare so similar experience as like Power Query editor. You can do the data extractions, cleanse the data, and then load it back to your, maybe it is a Lakehouse or else warehouse also. Fine. First of all, I need to build a warehouse. Let's try to create a warehouse. So you can search it, or else maybe you can just try to navigate down. You can see it here. You can search it, or you can navigate directly to the warehouse too. Let me create a warehouse, giving the name as Fabric Warehouse. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. See here, once you created a warehouse, this is the front end view. You can see on the left hand side as a similar experience whoever worked on SSMS studios, SQL Server Management Studio. You can see the similar experience on the left hand side, all the schema design, security part like new login creation, or else maybe I want to store my queries, and you can see the shared queries. I want to reuse the existing queries and the model layout. And here, as I said, I'm going to create some tables by using transactional SQL database. I'm going to create it. And also I'm going to load some data on the creator table. That is one type of extraction I'm going to do. Another, here in the center as a part of watermark, you can see Dataflow Gen 2 and another way of data extraction and loading the tables via data pipeline as well. And for initial part, whoever learning on this fabric, if you want to play with some sample data, you can use it, sample data part also. So some COVID data is there, some traffic city data is available, and so on. Some multiple sample data are available to get it through on this learning of this warehouse building. So here, let's try to do it. Please observe here in the center, you can see the start with the getting data. And the top part, get data options to two applications, new data flow gen 2 or new data pipeline also, we can get it extracted. And I'm just showcasing some important key areas here on this once the warehouse has been built. Left hand side, Explorer with your Fabric warehouse name. And this schema by default is a DBO schemas will be get created. Maybe if you want to create a new table with a separate or else unique schema name, object name, we can get it created. By default, it is an DBO schema, we can get it created. And the tables or else the queries will be get stored here. So my queries, maybe if you want to store it for future references instead of recreating, in my queries part, we can store our queries too. As of now, no queries. I'm going to create some tables by using transaction SQL database. Fine. At the top part, as I said, we can refresh it, or here the settings part, we can enroll this particular warehouse to the further developments, like promote it to the next activities or else next development criteria too, we can configure here. And as I said, this Copilot has been integrated in all the personas for warehouse, data engineering stuff, even the Power BI, it has been incorporated. We can see this Copilot building. It will provide with a natural language assistant as per your code. Means if you're working on the data engineering, the code will be get supported. If it is a pipeline building, it will be get supported with pipeline building activities too. Fine. So see here, let's try to extract some data via transaction SQL database. I'm going to create few tables, dimension tables here by using transaction SQL database. I have prepared the code as well. Let me showcase it to this. See here, I have prepared few tables for creation of these tables, like a customer table with DBO schema, and product table with product name, SKU, brand, size, and packaging, and cities table with few other fields like city name, region, and ID column, and version, which is going to maintain my versioning data, like one or two categories, true or false condition. Maybe it's a new record or else old record maintenance. I'm going to create version is one of the table. Let's try to create a new tables without any data. Okay, just a structure. Click on this transactional SQL. You can see this Copilot, we can use it. We can write some normal natural queries, I mean natural questions. Output will be get defined in the form of warehouse, or else maybe if you want to create some new tables also, it will be get created. Paste it. So see here, all the queries, 4 dimension tables, version, city, product, and the first table is customers table I'm trying to create. Save it, run it. Run it. It will take some time as per the network speed and bandwidth. Any questions?
Rajendra,
Is
we
there?
have one question. Yeah, I'll
Yes.
get that up on the screen.
Yeah.
AI Copilot is not about skipping DWH, it's just help us to build DWH. A cleansed and structured DWH is still necessary to ML. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. I mean, Copilot is for you can write some code, or as an example, Power BI. If you are working on Power BI, DAX queries also we can write with a general statement, and output will be get derived in the form of logics, the code. Similarly, for the data warehouse also, you can write it. There should be some mistakes. You can see there mistakes will be happen, and you have to adjust the code as per your business needs. Yeah, clear.
Yep.
Fine. So see here, I just create a few tables with structure, and you can see this DBO schema on these tables part. just a blank tables. Okay, only the structure has been created. I haven't inserted any data. And this particular SQL query one, maybe I want to reuse it, or else I want to store this table, I can save it. So I'll just try to rename it as an create create created tables, dimension tables, create tables, rename it. So this one, it will be get stored in your queries part, my queries. And the future reference needs, we can reuse it as well. Maybe if we can get it closed, we can reuse it. I just created a schema now, like a structure without any data, ID, city name and region. Likewise, remaining tables too, like a customer, you can see this particular structure only without any data, ID, customer name, and so on. Product is just a structure. Fine, let's try to load with few records on those dimension tables. These are all dimension tables. Let's try to load for these 4 dimension tables with some data. I prepared it, the script. Maybe if required after the session, right, I can share it with you for our learning curve. With few records I have prepared, and how we are going to get it, add this SQL statement then. So you no need to write it here itself. You can create a new SQL query at the top. Okay, here we can make use of new SQL query. It will open in another pop, and here we can try to add insert statements to run it. It will take some time as set as per your network speed and bandwidth. And if there is any errors, it will throws immediately errors instantly here at the down corner. Okay, and based on the errors you have to rectify, we have to re-execute one more time. Okay, so currently I'm using the trial. As I said, I'm facing some slowness as well. If you're going with the license part like F64 license for the fabric, it is very completely faster as per the data needs. So let's try to select each and every table and observe the data. I'm refreshing here, or maybe you can just try to right click and refresh the table, each and every table here as well. And in the meantime, right, let me save this one. Is there any questions? Please let me know in the meantime.
We had a follow-up question from Venkat.
Yeah.
We had a follow-up question from Venkat. Doesn't Copilot
Yes.
cleans?
No, still that part is not added. I have already tested Venkat. So we can write it, but the table creation, these activities are doing. But table creation, inserting, these are all we have to do it on our own. So just a table creation with a structure, it is doing with this number of columns we want. Means it is generating the table with the Copilot. It's not going to clean any data. Okay.
Thanks, Rajendra.
Yeah. Let me check. And also if you want to see here, when this is almost as same as data warehouse on the left hand side table information, you can also create the tables and you can delete the tables. All the DDL DML statements will be performed in the warehouse. And coming to the lake house, you can just, it says completely read only mode. If you're working on the lake house storage and creating or else extracting the data, we can just have an option to select the data, select the table information. It will not create or drop the table. These functions, these SQL statements will not work on the Lakehouse Explorer when you are building the Lakehouse. In the warehouse, you can delete the tables. These are all the steps will be get performed in data warehouse. This particular transactional SQL, all the functionalities and features will be get support. That's what I said. SSMS, whatever the features it is supporting as per the part of security, data security, or also maybe if you want to create some new login credentials, we can get it created at the table level, and even at the column level we can provide object is the securities part too, whenever if you are using this structure. What happened? 1 second. It's not loaded. It has to do. 1 second. Okay, 1 minute. Let me recreate the workspace because this data set is very huge because we are working the data warehouse mechanism, right? So I had to get it configure whenever if you're working on huge information. It's not as simple or else a sample data. It's a completely one of the project archival project data. What I will do in this is let me recreate a new warehouse because so it's not accepting the data load. I'm getting some error as well. So let me recreate it. Let me do it from start. Fabric warehouse. So here I forget to configure with larger template, larger semantic data. Let me configure it. Here, larger semantic model because my data set is not a smaller one. So I'm just trying to configure the larger semantic storage mode. Please observe here, warehouse, created. So it's as similar as same as I said SSMS Studio how it looks like. Whoever familiar and working on SSMS, you can see on the left hand side on the warehouse creation part, all the statements DDL DML statements will be get supported. It will take some time as I said as per the network speed and bandwidth. Let's try to create the tables again one more time, recreating the tables. Execute it. You don't need to select everything, all the tables again and again. We'll just try to execute it at one time. That's it. So in the schema part, debug schema I just created. And maybe if you want to create the views also, you can get it created with the views and the structure. I mean, stored processor and also the configurations for security login credentials. We can get it created. So this is my tables. With only the structure information, we can see it here. Let me load the data now. Any queries, Rashmita,
Yes,
in the
yes,
chat?
and just bringing up that on the
Okay, tell
screen.
me.
Can we change from small to
Okay.
large?
Immediately, so my idea is instead of redoing that activity, but just want to show it from starting onwards. We can do it that activity too. We can change it, the existing warehouse also. Yeah,
Okay, next
you no need
question
to
is
create it one by one. Yeah.
okay. So next question is how should I tell the Copilot to assign
Hmm.
permissions for the columns? I mean, what is the prompt I should give to Copilot?
So basically, security part, or else if you want to assign the permissions, it's still not incorporated. So it's a I mean, like it is still in the initial stage only. So we cannot pass any permissions to navigate or else to tell. So still a Copilot, it's going to happen some mistakes. We have to do it on your own, like by using this Copilot, I mean, normal settings by login credentials. We have to get it authorized or else we can configure it as an, this particular table, I need to have in particular access, like a read access or a read write access. So Copilot, I mean, still the application is not supporting that much advanced code or else a suggestion. Just as I said, right? Table creation, it's working. For new table creation with this fields, if you want, it will be get created. And also the data part, it is not going to load any data until unless if you're choosing some path and running. So these are the some limitations are there because it's still a preview feature. You can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The next question is, how do you know when to use a smaller or a larger semantic model format?
So suppose if you're working on in a smaller data set, so data set size is small, maybe in future it is not going to grow up. In such a scenario, you can proceed with a smaller semantic model. So I'm sure data is not at all a smaller or else it's not going to be a something static way, like few records per day or else something. Maybe my data size is very huge. In such a scenario, by default or else maybe if you want to configure the workspaces, you can configure with a larger semantic model approach only. So my suggestion is data is always growing. It's not going to stop one day or else the next. So we have to configure with, I mean, that feature had to enable it so that maybe in future, right, if the data is increased and your workspace size is almost finished, auto scale should be happen automatically. Yeah. So see here, now the data is loaded for customer, city, and product. You can see the data is popping up. So as I said, right, it will be get slow because of the network or else as I said, right, bandwidth, and even the data size also. My data set size is huge. In such scenario, product table is huge information. Such scenario, it will take some time to get it loaded. Okay, so these four tables I have created and then loaded into my warehouse. You can see these dimension tables. Then how we are going to fetch the data from sales fact table. So as I said, I'm going to extract sales table which is residing on my SSMS on-premises SQL server by using a data pipeline. I'm going to pull and inject the data into my pipeline building and store the table, sales fact table into my connected, created warehouse, warehouse D. So how we are going to get it extracted? So see here, get data, new data pipeline. It is almost similar experience as like Azure Data Factory, and we can use the copy method. We can by default we can use it, and also we can configure the source and destination and particular parameters, I mean data parameters to dynamic parameters to get it load your tables. Let me create a pipeline, sales pipeline. Maybe let me add sales fact pipeline name. Instead of pipeline one, I'm just renaming it to then for my understanding part, sales F pipeline. It's an within that window, it's getting open and another. You can see it. On the left hand side, maybe I want to navigate back to my warehouse. You can navigate it by selecting this warehouse. And if you want to navigate to your currently, I'm trying to create a pipeline. This is your pipeline icon. If you're observing on the left hand side, vertical stuff. These are all options, I mean functionalities. This is the warehouse and this is one pipeline building. So whenever if you can start creating the pipeline, you have to get it copy the data, what type of a resource, what type of a source system you want to get connected, and where we want to get it stored, that destination we have to provide it. And after that, connect to the destination, do you want to create a staging area? And finally, you can review it from where to where the data is getting passed. Okay, it's moved from one to another. So as I said, I'm going to get connect from SQL Server database, that sales fact table. I want to load this table into my warehouse, Fabric warehouse. And also I will create a staging layer. I can enable it to pass the data successfully with a temporary storage in between to move from source to my destination. So selecting SQL Server database, I need to pass the server details. Let me pass. In between, if you have any questions, please post it. Hope I am answering. If you have any questions, means please connect me in the LinkedIn, or else maybe here itself we can discuss. Passing my server details. So authentication already previously connected. Gateway is a mandatory. Whenever if you are trying to connect from your on-premises source system, gateway should be on and available. I'm using authentication method with basic. Maybe if you're connecting to your SQL server database with proper SQL authentication, you have to get it configure instead of a basic, the SQL authentication method approach as well. So we have to pass the dedicated server name and the password. So I'm using here normal basic Windows authentication. Click on next, and the database name is optional. So if you have a particular database, if you want to get it connected, you can pass the database name also. Any question, Rasmita?
Yes, I'll just get that up on the screen.
Yeah.
What is the difference between SQL Server Database and Azure SQL Database since both are MS products?
Both are MS product, but if it's an Azure SQL database, you are going to get connected directly to the cloud-based application. The data will be resides in the cloud environment. And if you're connecting to both are products from Microsoft, SSMS or SQL Server on premises, is going to reside in a static or some standalone missions. So this is residing on my locally, right? SSMS is local, but Azure SQL database is going to reside in a cloud-based application where you can create the tables in the cloud by utilizing the storage, and we can create the content. I mean, storage containers. We can fetch it within the cloud. Security part, it is more reliable, and this is on-premises, right? We have to update it if there is any new features or functionality on the on-premises. Yeah, is that clear? It's taking some time. So the databases, the name should be displayed here. So I have list of databases in my SSMS, so it will be get listed. So this is the one. So where I'm going to fetch my sales fact table from this AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2019, which is a sample file. You can also find the sample in your Microsoft Learn website as well. You can take that backup file and store it in your locally. You can do the practice for that part of it. Next. And here you can see the list of tables which has been created in this AdventureWorks Data Warehouse 2019. From that, I'm going to pick my table. So you don't need to search it vertically and try to find out the table. You can search it from here itself. Sales table, that's what I'm looking for. Sales fact table, DBO fact. Select it. On the right hand side, you can see the data preview with some records. So how the structure, what are the columns that are available, you can see in the right hand side. And the next stage is we have to choose the data destination. You want to create it as a new table, or you want to replace the existing table. So here in this particular warehouse where it is going to get connected, this particular table availability, I don't want to replace it with any other table. I want to create it as a new table, sales fact table. And here you can change the name also as per your requirement. Maybe I'll just try to make it as a sales fact for our reference. And this is completely mapping on the table. What are the columns that are available from the backend source, and what is the after moving on to the destination, what are the data types and the destination column. And if it is not required, some of the columns we can delete it by selecting here. You can delete that column. This is a complete mapping structure will be get available on this column mapping. And here there's a data type change. Sometimes if you're extracting the data from CSV, date data type is by default treated as a string. And here you have to change it to the date data type, the destination part. You can change it to the date data type. You can just try to open here, and you can change as per our data set mode. We can change it here. So currently, because I'm extracting this table from a database, it's obviously date data type only. If you're extracting the data from file source systems like CSV, XLS, you have to get change that destination part data type. So you have to change it from here. So as is, I'm following. So click on next. So here by default, this particular staging area will be get enabled. You can see here the staging area, and also some quick comments to store or else interim storage between your source table source information to the destination table. So I want to maintain this interim storage area to move my table to my destination folder, that is Fabric Warehouse. And you no need to select it, I mean, like a staging part here. This is a mandatory whenever you are using this. So try to choose the staging area connection as well. So I'm using my container MS Fabric Warehouse. I'll just try to test it. Where to store the connection part. It's a fabric storage. So I'm trying to store this particular interim storage should be available in my fabric container. So which is in the blob storage part. So that's why I'm just trying to configure. If you're not interested to add this enable staging, that is instant storage area, you can disable it. That is also fine. You can see only the source to the destination movement like this. Example, how it looks like means please observe here. So it should be available only with source and destination icons. So by default, it should, I mean, enabling the staging is a mandatory. You can go with this procedure to store this. Maybe in future, the data will be get deleted. You can fetch it from this interim storage area. Okay, so I'm using this Microsoft Fabric storage account. I just tested my connection as well. I need to provide the path where to store this file. So browse it. So I want to store it here. I mean, data file is available. Let me showcase you that part also where it is going to store. Click on next. You can see the complete path. So how you are fetching, where you are fetching the data from SQL Server, and the connected table is dbo.sales, and the staging area it's going to store in an ADLS2 Gen 2, and the staging that particular table is going to get it available as a backup from this location. And destination, I want to get it stored in my warehouse, Fabric Warehouse. You can see the Fabric Warehouse and with this name. I just to change it with sales space fact table. So just make it as a proper convention, naming convention. And here by default, it will be get start data transfer immediately option, start immediately. So you can see the complete view, how it looks like on the data pipeline building. So this table will take some time. In the meantime, if you have any queries, you can post it.
Yes, we do. It's on the screen.
Yeah.
Fabric is loading data from DB. Where is the loaded data located? After data loaded, if the data changed in the DB, what will happen to Fabric? Do we need to reload the data?
You no need to reload the data. You can schedule it. The latest data from the backend database, it will be get fetched. So see here, we have a scheduler. So you already done the extraction from SQL Server to this warehouse, right? You can schedule as per the data availability. So it will works on all the repeated frequencies like minute by minute or else a daily basis, one-time data refresh. You can configure it. The latest data as per the data availability from the backend. Here also we can refresh and automatically the new data information, it will be get resides on your Fabric Warehouse. Okay, so you can see the success notification at the top, successfully ran this pipeline. Is that, am I answer to your query? Yes.
We have another
Shall we
follow-up
proceed?
question.
Yes.
There's another question, Rajendra, before we proceed. Is the
Okay.
staging connection area something you created in Fabric or SQL Server?
That is in interim layer. That's what, if you're on hover on the top of it, it is an interim layer. So because you are moving the data from an on premises standalone SSMS to your cloud environment, right? Fabric Warehouse environment. In between, maybe by mistakenly, if you delete that particular table information, you can refetch that data from an cloud application itself, ADLS storage, Azure Data Lake storage. So it's going to store in your portal, like as I said, portal.azure.com. It will be get resides here, okay, in your storage container here. Data files, I have configured some path, right? Let me showcase to you. I have configured some browser with data files. So there, the file will be get resides for staging layer, enablement of staging. So here, container, here, in this particular path. Got it? Here, you can see it. okay, in the folder. Now it's still running, executing. Once it is completed, the file will be get visible to you on this location. Is that clear? Shall we proceed?
Yes,
Mm,
we have another question.
okay.
1 minute before we proceed.
Mm.
Yeah, instead of the scheduler, uh, okay, if an update happens on its own, intest intestinally would be more good.
Sorry, what is
Not
that? One
sure
second,
about
let
the
me check.
question. Yeah.
Let me check it. So automatically, if you are not updating, or else if the data is not I mean, if the data is available, you want to get it updated, in the sense we have to schedule on here. Like, we don't know what is happening in the backend, right? Maybe after some days the new data is getting resides on an SQL server, it should be fetched to your pipeline, correct? In such a scenario, we have to schedule it here only in the data pipeline building. So maybe my data is going to get it available on the midnight, or else the next day I can schedule it. Or else maybe my data, it going to get it refreshed every 15 minutes of interval. I can use the minute by minute interval or hourly basis. I can configure with these frequencies, so that the latest data or else a new records, whatever it is available on the backend part, it will be get loaded and it will be get pop up in your pipeline, that is sales F pipeline. Okay,
There's another
clear?
question.
Yes.
If the data is very huge, the schedule can be triggered
Hmm,
for sure, but how long
hmm.
it will take to get the data refreshed?
Yeah, it depends upon the data is very huge, in the sense you are saying. So in such scenario, I have tried with the 2 million records, 20 lakhs records approximately. It took me 3 minutes. Approximate time is 3 minutes. I mean, on my, not with the trial account, I'm using in my office related F64 license. It took me 3.5 minutes. So it depends upon the license and also the usage. And still, if you want to get it refreshed on daily basis, means I will not follow on the daily basis refresh with the 3 lakhs or else the 20 lakhs records and daily refresh. I can go with the incremental refresh at that time. I will not go with this process of daily refresh, means all the 20 lakhs records will be get refreshed on daily basis. We have to get it some other way, like last 2 days data I want to get it refreshed, means I can refresh it. That's the process we will follow. Got it? And if you want to see the history of your running of your data pipelines, you can see it here from this view run history. And also we can see the completely data monitoring application. So go to the data monitoring. You can see at what time it started, at what time it has been executed and run. Whether it's a succeeded or else if there is any failure information also you can observe by using this monitor option. Okay, clear now? And here we can also configure, maybe if it is taking huge time. So by default this is the time 1 hour 20 minutes. And also we can try to configure, like maybe I want to run this particular pipeline for 1 hour, means we can configure it in this way. And I want to retry the same maybe 1 or 2 times, means we can try to provide the retry, the maybe if there is any failure we can provide the retry option as well. Multiple times, 2 times I want to re-execute it automatically, or is it 3 times, we can provide a retry option as well. Okay, maximum number of retry of your execution of your data sets. Okay, it's a pipeline. And here the source part, you can see from where to where this particular table is moving. So source I have connected to an on-premises SQL server from this AdventureWorks database. And also we can test the connection, we can see the preview data and where it is moving. So it is moving to my existing created warehouse, fabric warehouse tree. And I want to create it as a new table. You can see it here, new table. Okay, so in this way we can try to set the configuration from the source to the destination. And also in the general part you can configure how many times you want to do the retry of your pipeline. And also you can configure with 1 hour. If it is taking more than 1 hour, it will be get timed out. And we can see the notification alert also. Whoever configure, we can set the notification alerts for this pipelines too. Like if it's a failure or else it's taking huge time, we can see the notifications by using this set alert mechanism. Okay, And this mapping, as I said, the column mappings, maybe if you want to change the column mappings or else add some new columns here, if you're creating a table manually, we can create the column mapping, the source to the destination data type verification too. So if you're observing this particular copy data, which is a sales fact table, it should be available to my warehouse because it's successfully completed. You can see all the notifications in the top. This has been successfully moved and executed. And whenever if you are trying to refresh, already refreshed, you can see the sales fact table on your warehouse. So this is an information. Huge, a little bit of huge information it is. You can see that information here. Okay, all these tables. Fine. So whenever if you're working a warehouse, data warehouse building, we need to have a date or else a timetable. So how we are going to fetch it? Sometimes if you can fetch it, or else you can reuse the existing Lakehouse. Maybe if there is any date or else a timetable is available, or maybe if you want to get it fetched from a different location, you can also fetch the timetable. Timetable is a mandatory conformed dimension and want to find out when the new data is popping up, when the old data, existing data is available. So I don't have a timetable, time dimension table here, date and time dimension table. I'm going to fetch the table via Dataflow Gen 2. So please observe here, get data, Dataflow Gen 2. So Dataflow Gen 2 is almost similar experience as like online Power Query Editor, Power BI desktop level Power Query Editor. You can see this, all the data transformation activities. You can fetch the information. You can do the data cleansing activities and load this table into your warehouse. So giving the data flow name as date time table created. So Git feature is currently the preview. Maybe if you can enable it, we can see the changes and source navigation version control. It's going to open a similar view of Power Query Editor. See here, Power BI desktop level Power Query Editor. You can see the get data, maybe the recent source. Maybe if you want to connect with the existing source system. Here also Copilot is enabled. As I said, it's there is separate charges for this Copilot if you want to make use of it. So let's try to extract this data. So assume that my data set, the time dimension table is available in one of the blob storage. Let me showcase to you that as well. In this data pipelines, data files, or here, it is available in this particular container. Let's try to pull via Azure blob storage. Okay, so more options, and time dimension table is available in blob, Azure blob. Select it. Try to provide the storage account name. Any other questions in the chat? Please let me know. So account creation, and here whenever if you are working on connecting to a container or else a blob accounts, this authentication mechanism is a mandatory. So I'm using shared access signature for next, 6 months duration I'm providing, like a changing of my authentication. So I'm using SAS token code. SAS token wise, I'm trying to get connected. You can see it here. SAS token wise is providing. I have to provide the token, SAS token. I need to get connected. So let me pass the connecting, SAS token as well. Click on next. And the connection name I'm using as is the link, the connection type. And here, Azure Blob Storage part, I'm going to extract my date and time dimension table. And the file is available in my data files, which I have showcased in my Fabric storage account. Click on this, select it. You can see here, time dimension table is available in the binary content. So let's try to pull it, this table, create. You can see the similar experience as like a Power Query editor. And let me change the file name as an time dimension table instead of data files, time table. And this binary, because the file is available in the blob, I'll try to connect to this time dimension.csv. Automatically, as we are connecting or else extracting the data from an blob storage, you can see on the right hand side these transformations. So where we connect it, blob account where the file is available, that particular data files, automatically it will be get popped up with the proper column header and changing the data type. So this is almost as similar features which we will regularly work, I mean Power BI site, which we will regularly work with these headers and data type data transformation set. So this is the table: date, ID, year, quarter, month name, year, or month of year. Maybe if you want to add some new columns, like example, I want to generate the name of the day by some analysis, I can get it generated. So we know how to get it generate some new columns in your Power Query too. So I'm use add query, date, name of this. So on the top of it, maybe if you want to change the destination to store this table, we can change it. We can configure the data destination too. But our current destination, you want to get it stored this time dimension table in this fabric warehouse only, not any other. Suppose if you want to get change, what we have to do, how we are going to do that. So here we can change it. You can see here currently the data destination is fabric warehouse D, and workspace I have just was starting created fabric warehouse demo. So let's try to see here, selecting here. Maybe if you want to get changed, how we are going to do that? You have to use the settings button. By default, warehouse none connection. So here we can change it if required. If required to store this particular warehouse, I mean this particular table in some different warehouses, we can change it in this location. Okay. So let me choose time dimension table is fine. And by default, this is an auto setting. So however, we are working on the data pipeline too. You can see the column mapping. Likewise, the similar way, you can see the column mapping, what is the data type from the source, how the destination data type looks like. Maybe if you want to join or else append with some new records, we can use this data transformation approach as well. Append with some other new table means we can use it. So I just want to add it as a new table, save settings. And until and unless if you haven't published this particular timetable, it's not going to visible to you on your fabric warehouse. So let's try to publish it. Publish. So on this particular warehouse, you can see where date and time dimension table is executing. Okay, it will take some time. In the meantime, let me move back to my warehouse. And if you have any questions, please post me. I mean, if you have any questions on this Dataflow Gen 2, please post. Hope the explanation is clear. Let me know if there is any challenges. See this, it will take some time. So until unless the data flow is successful, you cannot see the table information anywhere. Warehouse. Any questions?
We have one question.
Yeah.
It's up on the screen.
Yes.
Yep. Can we use Key Vault for any login?
Yeah, well, that's the security part. That's what. Still, it is in pipeline. So currently, I haven't tested it, but maybe I have to test it one more time because I'm not sure whether it's going to work for the key vault connection and trying to see the data. I have to check it one more. But the feature is already available. Incorporated. I haven't checked it. So see here, I hope is that fine, right? You can see the time dimension table has been get arrived in our corrected or else a created warehouse. This is the one. Now fine. So if you're observing, few of the dimension tables are available, and one is the fact table, sales fact table. And from here on the top of it, if you want to create a data modeling means how we are going to get it navigated. Or else maybe I want to do some transformations from this warehouse, how we are going to get it navigated. So from here, new SQL query, if you can open up, you can see the new visual query. If you want to write some new statements for optimization smart select statements, we can make use of this new visual query. It's just a kind of a drag and drop mechanism. I'll just try to showcase to you how it will work. See here, visual query. Here on the top of it, I want to perform some new data transformation and try to do some changes on my connected table, means we can perform this activity too. Or if you want to get it download this table, whatever the product table, we can download it in the form of Excel. Or you want to get it visualize this table with ad hoc report building up by using this product, we can visualize it. Or else you want to do some transformations, these are the supported transformations which are similar experience as like Power Query Editor. You can do this little bit of few transformations on the top of it for optimization part, or else removing the column, and this table will be stored back to your warehouse. Fine. But here our requirement is how we are going to get navigate to the report, how we are going to get it integrated there. So if you're observing at the top, reporting option is there, tab is there, you can select it. So few of the dimension tables, as I said, we are going to follow a star schema model for the data optimization, the performance part. I have extracted some dimension tables and one fact table, which has been automatically or else interlinked with one table to the another table. So when you are working on Power BI desktop, auto detection is there, but that feature is still not available. And here automatically recent edition of automatic update of your semantic model, it will be get automatically give the connections between one to another. Or else maybe you want to do it manually, the connections or else the relationship between one table to another, you can create it as a new semantic model approach as well. So I'm just creating the new semantic model with sales report SM semantic model. This is the warehouse, and these are the selected. Maybe I want to select few tables, means we can select it, or else all table means we can select all the tables as well. So as a part of our warehouse build, these are the 6 tables. Let's try to connect it with all tables. You can see the similar experience as like data model view in our Power BI desktop, and there you have to give the connections between one table to the another table. Okay, in Power BI services, you can see the similar way of data model view in the Power BI desktop. And here you have to provide the connections from one to another. It's open automatically. You can see here. Sometimes, right, if you're using the by default semantic model, some of the cache files, the backend storage files, cache files will be get visible to you. So that's the reason I'm using the new semantic model, and here we can give the connections from one to another. So as I said, the Power BI part, the tables will be get resides in the form of direct lake. So it's going to communicate directly to your warehouse. If there is any new changes, the changes will be get pop up on your visualization. Okay, because it's going to update as is automatically. So direct click, it's a faster refreshes as well the faster data loading part. And we know the in Power BI desktop level, we know the important direct query approaches. But in the Power BI services, Microsoft Fabric, Power BI application is providing direct lake. Direct lake means that is directly fetching the data from your warehouse or else existing created warehouses to your Power BI model. So let's try to build a quick connections between each and every other timetable. For data preview part, it is taking some time. It's not showcasing the data. It will take some time to get it load and visible to us. And it is supporting all the cardinalities, all 4 types of relationship: many to one to many, one to one, and many to many. Let me use the normal many to one only by default connection. Any questions in the chat?
No, Rajendra.
Fine. So see here, fact, as I said, it's a fact table, the sales fact table in center. Let's try to provide other connections too quickly. ID to version ID. Customer. I'm just resisting. So city ID. Okay. Once the data model built, it's as simple as easy to go and showcase the visualization, or still, if you want to implement the row level security, we can do that activity too. Previously, this feature was not enabled. So you can implement that row level security, RLS, dynamic RLS, or static, whatever the requirement, we can implement the row level security it's too. So it's a measure level. And if you want to write any new new measures, we can write it by using the selecting this new measure. I'll just try to showcase to one new measure, sales profit is equal to sum x. This particular table, the sales fact table, we have the discount and price. Sales fact discount price. And maybe if you want to add any new column, as I said, you have to navigate or else work on the Power Query editor, that is Dataflow Gen 2, and you can generate some new columns. Or you want to create any new column, you can also create the new columns by using alter function in the data warehouse as well. Okay, new column, that is a calculated column, is still not, it's not enabled. So you can see the disable option. Maybe in future, this new table and new column creation also going to visible to you in Power BI services in this particular view. So how I am going to get navigate to my reporting from here. So you have to navigate via files, click on files, create it as a new report. So you can see all the connected tables on the right hand side in the data pane. And in the center, you can view your visualization, canvas, this particular canvas. And as I said, the created measure, just now I have created, measure is there. You can just try to drag and drop. So as I said, it will take some time, the cloud part, right, to get display the values and so on. Okay, let me get it visualize one more. Any questions in the chat? Please let me know.
Yes, we do. Can we build relationships among tables? If the relationships have been built among tables, can semantic model auto-build relationships?
Semantic model automatically, as I said, right? My suggestion is, instead of seeing the catcher tables along with your connected tables, my suggestion is you can use the semantic model. So here, whenever you're trying to build a warehouse, you can see the semantic model, right? By using that approach is very easier, instead of seeing the catcher tables and so on, other tables. Okay, catcher tables means previously created tables. So that is the best advantage, and you can make use of the semantic model design. And what about the default semantic model means you have to choose the right tables there. That is the only the reason. Otherwise, that is also fine. So I'm just trying to save this report. Okay, and here. So see here, this particular workspace, Fabric Warehouse. These are the complete end-to-end. So we have extracted the data to your warehouse, the 4-dimension tables by writing transaction SQL. And one of the fact table, I have fetched it via on-premises SQL Server table to my warehouse. And another date and time dimension table, I have fetched via Azure Dataflow Gen 2, which has been resides on my Azure Blob Storage. I've pulled this table into my Fabric warehouse tree. So here was one last thing. So by default, you can create the semantic model, but the thing is, you can see some catcher tables too. If you don't want to see the catcher tables, you want to build by, the available tables means you can use this new semantic layer, or else many semantic layer, what it will provide means it will showcase with some dummy tables to catcher tables. That's what I'm saying. So suggest to create it as a new semantic model, and it should be pop up in your workspace as well. And on the top of it, on the semantic model part, you can do further things like you can share or is this particular semantic model to some clients or else some users too, to take some quick decisions accordingly. This is the semantic model which I'm showcasing to you. Okay, this approach is suggestible. Hope it is clear to you. Any questions in the chat?
No.
Fine. Hope it is clear, and I hope you like it. And if you have any questions or else any comments, please post it. And thanks, Rashmita, for giving this opportunity. I'm taking some additional time. Sorry for that. And if you have any questions, please post it now. Yeah. Main beneficiaries, we will not, the main advantage of using this fabric warehouses, instead of, still most of the organizations, they are following on premises warehouse building with models, like they are going to store the raw data in some different application and then move it to the cleansed data to some other layer and process the data to the new layer, another layer, that one we will call it as a medallion architecture. Maybe I will come up with this design. I can showcase you how this data will be get stored in silver layer, bronze layer first, raw data, silver layer with the processed data, cleansed data, and ready to move for the business insights in the gold layer. So I will come up with this method in the next session, which has been scheduled in the next month, so that we'll get a clarity how it will work on the fabric warehouse building as well. So the complete activity which we did in the cloud environment, so we are not using any other external tools. We have extracted and cleansed the data in the application fabric, and we have start visualizing in Power BI cloud application Microsoft Fabric itself. Fine. Yeah. Any questions, concerns? Please
Yes,
let me know.
we do have the last question we'll take.
Yeah.
We have recently seen AI agents becoming more common. Is there a possibility of AI agents in MS Fabric workflow?
Maybe in future, but here already Copilot is there. So Copilot still it is incorporating some few preview features on each and every tool if you are observing all the data engineering stuff or a data warehouse. But I'm not sure about AI agents, but Copilot is doing most of our activities. But we have to be more cautious what query we are typing and how it is getting suggestions. Sometimes, as I said, there should be some mistake while defining the rules or else while defining the security prospect. We have to do it on our own, the security concerns. So maybe if it is a simple table means it will be get created on its own, okay, by suggesting the table with number of fields. But Copilot is doing currently the business. AI agent, I'm not sure about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajendra, for hosting this session, and thank you all for joining us today. Please visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming sessions. Also, we would appreciate your feedback on today's session as it will help us to curate future sessions. Please scan the QR code and do share your feedback. Today's event ID is 24773. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.